The fact that so many of you with a platform, with a voice, with a public-facing personality could be so callous as to call yourselves humanitarians and human rights activists when you focus on milquetoast bullshit like this while also spitting in the face of an actual genocide. We know she's fine. It's been 3 years.
It was such a traumatic time, and it was so high intensity. I mean, I literally just cried, right?
Hi. Welcome back to the Mozilla Firefade channel, formerly known as the Faye the Most Gracious channel. It was time to rebrand. It was very much time to rebrand because we involved ourselves in possibly the worst thing we could have possibly involved ourselves in. We've taken enough time, I think, before we have anything to really talk about in terms of the last things we engaged in on YouTube. I keep saying we. Hey, my name is Faye. A few years ago, I used to be a somewhat prominent person in the ex-Muslim community, and I was dishonorably discharged, let's say that, for a few things that happened. It's not really been that relevant in my life. It's been a non-issue for the longest time. I've been spending my time helping my community and, you know, doing things that matter. Yeah, Mimsy Vids made a video about me where she didn't mention me, and I just wanted to respond to it. I thought that this would be the best format to do it in, and for the most part, the focal question that I would like to ask Mimsy, while we're going through this, is this a good look for you? As a person who works with a charity, as a mental health professional, when an outsider, when someone who is not you, views your video, do you think, like, with all your educated brain cells, that this is a good look for you? If you are new to this channel, I'll be honest with you, against the potential wishes of my channel manager, this may not be the video for you. I fully understand if you don't want to ruin your day with this information. For those of you who are interested and would like to hear what a nobody in the ex-Muslim community has to say about it, having had experiences in it with, let's call them, the founder of Faithless Hijabi, or FOF. We'll stick to that. I'll be honest, this is a new house, this is a new setup, and I don't want to taint any of my surroundings by mentioning the names of people that I don't want to mention in, you know, my area of peace. Let's just say that. We're gonna watch through this, and I am going to give my plain and honest opinions about what I think is being said here and what I think people should remember about this time, because this was 3 or 4 years ago now, and I don't really know what relevance it has to be brought up again. Just so we can get some disclaimers out of the way. Everyone is safe. Everyone is safe. No one's in jail anymore, so I guess we can talk about this now. I would never have thought that, you know, people who only ever respect and talk about freedom of speech would understand that, like, people are allowed to criticize you and say that what you're doing is fucked up if what you are doing is fucked up. So I'm going to just be sitting here and doodling in a book while I listen to whatever the fuck this is. Cool.
Okay, hold on. Let me just set this up.
Brilliant start.
I wasn't intending to go over this again and talk about kind of the situation.
Sure.
And actually,
You weren't intending to go over this again. Sure.
But because she's an ex-Muslim and comes from a very, very close-knit Shia community in Tanzania.
Largely non-religious.
Many threats, very critical of her. They felt like, she actually...
Let's let her cook. Let's let her cook.
She actually, when she was Muslim, used to teach a lot of their children Arabic and Islamic studies. So,
okay, this is a blatant lie. Fof cannot read, write, or speak Arabic. It's on her fucking Wikipedia page. If Mimsy is such good friends with Fof, well, I don't understand why you need to lie like this. Like, just like, you didn't need to say that. Like, that is miscellaneous information. Like, you did not need to say that and just blatantly lie where someone could just, like, Google someone's name and find information that contradicts it. Just like FYI in the video where you're trying to vindicate yourself.
She very bravely went to visit her family in Tanzania.
Yeah, sorry. Tanzania is a secular Christian country. Flying to a secular Christian country in the middle of a global pandemic... Not brave. Not brave.
Which, obviously now we know, was a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. Like she didn't actively choose to do something. Huge mistake. Okay.
There's a lot of corruption in these sorts of countries, in Africa and Middle East, in these countries that are... I mean, you obviously get corruption in the Western countries too, but far more corruption, right?
Yeah, I love just, like, non-Western, just, like, fucking stereotypical language. That's the best thing.
She's pissed off these people, okay? We know that we piss off Muslims, okay? Sorry, starting to get agitated already.
Did you see how fucking much she enjoyed saying that? Just like, I know that's a big assumption to make off of something someone's saying in a live stream, but like, she has sat herself down to vindicate her and Fof. So why would you like say something like that with so much joy?
I'm starting to get agitated already.
Agitated. This is agitated.
She kind of just comes back casually and just like hangs out with everyone and goes out, and they're just like, who the hell does she think she is, just coming back here?
Yeah, this is how countries work, guys. This is how countries work. Okay, here's another thing that hasn't really been brought up in discussion. Let me tell you what the biggest point of discussion has been around this since any level of criticism was levied about this entire case. Cheesecake. Cheesecake has been the only point of contention that has been responded to in saying that there's nothing wrong with having cheesecake. But like, what we're neglecting to include as information is that is from Tanzania, as in she was brought up there and lived there for most of her life. So the fact that she would just go back and for this to happen to her without like her having any preconceived notions about what danger she could potentially be in if it was a dangerous situation at this time, I don't know, based on the information that exists, because let's be real, they were not transparent or very clear on what was going on the whole time. They overused the word blasphemy about a country that does not have a blasphemy law, at least not an Islamic blasphemy law. When we pointed that out, they constantly said, oh, you should have read the press releases. The press releases. There's a very popular clip of Armin Navabi screaming about how I and everyone else who had any doubts about this should read the press releases. And we will get to all of my criticisms at the end of the video, because I think like a semi-justified criticism of me is that like, why did you comment about all of this while it was going on and not like afterwards? And I think, in my opinion, I bear no responsibility to protect someone who has like made my life worse. So The fact that you hold me to a standard where I'm just going to protect someone who is misleading their following. Secondly, it's been 3 fucking years now. I don't think that criticism still stands, given that there are still huge gaps of just misleading and misinformation throughout this entire case. But I digress. I'm gonna let Mimsy talk for a while.
But basically, as far as we were aware, she just tweeted out, that's the first thing we knew. She tweeted out, I'm being arrested for blasphemy. And what had happened was her brother was brought in because they knew the brother, they called the brother. He comes in and they show her Facebook profile. And they're like, this person, like this is your sister, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, okay, you need to bring her in. She needs to come in. So it's already like super sketchy. Like, why are you looking at her Facebook profile? Like, you know what I mean? Like social media, what's going on here?
Why are the police looking at your Facebook profile? That's your suspicion? The police. Why are the police looking at your Facebook profile? Like, if you've been arrested and have been asked to come into the police station, like, they're investigating you for something, and your social media is a public source of information about you. Like, maybe I don't like FOF, but I don't think they're fucking stupid. So please explain to me how you could make such an error.
People that are familiar with blasphemy charges, you know, and sort of also just corrupt countries are aware that this sort of thing happens, you know.
The grouping of corrupt countries sounds like a dog whistle. Like, is that just me? Is that just me? But like, just saying like, people who know how corrupt countries work, like, this is a theme through, I would say, the majority of ex-Muslim content that comes out from these like figureheads, these personalities online. I don't know what to call them anymore. Like, no matter how I phrase it, people get upset with me. So I'm just gonna talk and y'all can argue it with yourselves in the comments, okay? But like, a common theme among these figureheads who are so read up on psychology, and this is going to come up later as well, like people who are so read up and like know all these legal things and do all this political stuff, right, who are involved in this political work, they like talk about it as if they understand socio-political issues, but every time you like ask them to expand on socio-political issues, they prove to have a very surface level reading of them. And I wonder why that is. Perhaps it's like an intentional ignorance to appeal to your audience of mass fucking racists and like right-wing freaks. Maybe that's why. Or like to appease the middling little fucking centrists that can't have a real opinion on anything. I don't know what the fucking point is, but it's extremely fucking obvious, and as we go through this video, I think we'll see that. So I am going to reiterate the theme of this video. Mimsy, is this a good look for you?
We tried to kind of see if we could deal with this, and it was so scary, guys.
Yeah, they initially didn't say anything, as if immediately tweeting that she was arrested for blasphemy in a country that doesn't have a blasphemy law. The moment she said that, this was public information. Like, you have put the public into the situation. You can't just like be like, oh yeah, we didn't want to say anything after you've said something. Like, it's very fucking simple. And like, if you had handled this in a way where like you could have framed this in so many fucking ways. That's what drives me insane about this. Like, there's so many ways that you could have framed this, like detained, fucking under house arrest, you know, I don't fucking know. You guys are the experts, apparently. Like, there's so many other ways you could have put it without using the word blasphemy, and it's just like, if you didn't want for people to think it was about blasphemy, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't have continued to call it blasphemy. Like, that's just me. And again, we'll go over this at the end.
It's like, it's such a scary situation going on.
Okay, here's an idea, Mimsy. Maybe people like Apostate Prophet and Infidel Noodle talk about this like that because it's not as serious as you're making it out to be. Because those were people in the know. I was not a person in the know. They were people in the know. And the person who leaked the screenshots, Yasmin Mohammed, the person who actually leaked them, who was in the case group, the people within your in-group had these doubts. So, like, maybe the reason why they talk about it like that is because you're making a mountain out of a molehill, something that should have been a very obvious case of you drumming up something that was not about the thing you were claiming it was about, even if it was still a dangerous situation, which I'm sure it was. You can't lie to people and then blame them for being upset that you lied to people. And maybe the people who apologized for claiming that they had these doubts and that it wasn't that serious still talk about it like it's a joke is like a subconscious evidence that it's kind of a joke.
And we were like, okay, guys, this is the deal. Zara's been put in prison. You know, this is all just bullshit, basically. And it's because she's an ex-Muslim and someone is, you know, doing this. This is obviously a corruption going on.
Yeah, obviously.
Figure out how the hell to get her out. You know, this could get really kind of...
With all the information that you've been provided, obviously this is a corruption. Yeah.
So we're kind of deciding whether to go public and get people to kind of put pressure.
Again, it was already public, babes. It was already public. There were already hashtags, there were already petitions, there were already articles, there were already press releases. This was public information, babes. It's public. And not to mention the initial fucking tweet.
I think that person that paid them off basically didn't explain that Zara is an Australian citizen. And that was a really difficult topic for them because she wasn't actually Tanzanian. She's not a dual citizen. She was fully Australian, like just an Australian citizen. So that really...
Except that they hadn't returned their passport. Yeah, except that.
Because obviously corruption happens for them. They can do whatever the hell they want to do with like Tanzanians.
Yeah. Do you remember how like when I got dogpiled in a discussion about the BLM movement and about the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, and how like they were so reticent to believe that police could be brutal, but suddenly now that one of them is in trouble, suddenly the police can do whatever they want because they're in these corrupt countries. Guys, if you're gonna like have a stance, maybe pick a side. For someone who was so invested in this, maybe don't film in an aspect ratio of 16:4 and then sit in front of it like it's meant to be TikTok live or something. If this was that serious, Mimsy, have some fucking pride in your work. Hello?
And also, by the way, interrogated by men and you're a young woman is so scary and so horrible that she was in this situation. So for anyone, oh, I'm kind of getting emotional. Oh. Zara's fine now, yeah. Thank you.
We know she's fine. It's been 3 years.
When she got out on bail, we were like, Zara, like, you can't walk the streets or anything because we're literally scared for your life right now. Like, you know, if people...
This is so fucking transparent. Like, she was literally required to walk the streets to and from the police station until she left fucking Tanzania. What are you talking about?
You know, if these people will do that extent to get you, you know, in prison, and actually, I don't know if I can get to the part what they were planning to do, and we'll do something else. Oh, okay. Keep it together. This is so hard.
You're an adult. It's really hard for me to not be harsh, but like, pull yourself together if you're going to tell us something.
So we're like, listen, just go out, like do something with your family. She goes to like to have cheesecake. This is like the cheesecake joke, right?
Yeah. Do you remember how she just fucking said,
like, you can't walk the streets or anything because we're literally scared for your life right now,
to now this. Like, she said a bunch of whataboutisms, said she shouldn't do that, and then was like, oh yeah, no, you should do that. Does that make sense to you? Like, what exactly do you think the public should do with this information when they receive it? Like, you've just contradicted yourself within a sentence, Mimsy.
she goes out with her family and
Yes, the only point that they ever address.
when you go through an immense amount of trauma, I'm talking about this person, not Zara, right? This person who I don't even want to name really caused all these problems, okay? This person who I don't even want to name, actually, to be honest. So this person...
Is this a good look for you? As a mental health professional, you think this is a good look for you? Oh, honey, darling, sweetie, babe. Is this a good look for you?
So this person has had a really horrible, traumatic, toxic childhood and life, okay? And toxic people in their life. And a lot of the time when you go through that, it actually puts you in this vicious cycle, if you haven't dealt with it, through therapy, it puts you in this vicious cycle of refixating and in this kind of victimhood and fixating on certain people as being kind of the culprit.
Right?
I love how confident she is in that stance. Right? No, hun. No. How are you a mental health professional doing this to yourself? Oh, no. You know what? Like, this is why it's not even worth kind of responding to this. Because it's so fucking transparently awful. I'll let her cook for now. Let's see what she has to say, and then I'll get into what... Oh, you are such a silly bean. These people are older than me. These people are fucking older than me.
Vulnerable in some ways, but actually what?
In some ways. Vulnerable in some ways. I think the mic is coming into the hand, and I'm going to give you a brief rundown of where exactly I was when all this was going down. It's story time, everyone. It's 29-year-old Faye reflecting on what is possibly my worst days, okay? And I was a fundamentalist before I was an ex-Muslim, so let's go. Mimsy, how many times have we met? Do you even know? Because I can count them on one hand. Mimsy, I have met you in person 2 times, maybe 3, like just seeing you somewhere, you know? Let me outline the times that we've met. We met once for shisha, where we just talked for a good while. We had a good time. The second time I think I met you was when I volunteered at your fucking event as the door woman. I met every single one of your guests, and by the way, was the only volunteer of the day, or speaker, or person to turn up early on the day of the event, because guess what? I was the only one with any kind of events experience among the volunteers who decided to come on that day. Had any of them ever done an event except for maybe the photographer or the videographer? I literally volunteered at your event and welcomed literally every visitor that made it to that event. And yeah, the third time was when everyone was in Amsterdam for Diwali. That's the other time, and for the most part we were either high together or you were off doing something else, which I can't really hold against you. You know, you're in Amsterdam, do whatever the fuck you want. The only other times I've interacted with you is maybe one phone conversation, and yet you seem to have a very explicit diagnosis for what I have and how I think and feel. You are neglecting to mention that I was disowned from my family in October of 2018. You know when I met Fof? I met Fof like a few months after that. like early 2019, where she onboarded me into her charity. So I have close personal experiences with FOF, as well as being her employee, albeit voluntary. Okay? So, you know, at least I have a very kept record of me having a relationship with FOF to even comment about. You don't have a relationship with me. We are acquaintances at best. So I don't know what the source of your psychological diagnostic information is. People can look through like my social media. Like they can see me making videos with FOF. They can see me in pictures with FOF. They also know that I worked there. But like, how do I know you? How many times have we seen each other? How many times have we talked to each other? Like, all of this is just what? Just spitting bullshit out of your face because you think you know something, because you think you're a good like counselor. Like, this is the most fucked up shit that a counselor can do. You are not there in my friendship with FOF, Mimsy. You do not live behind my eyes. You do not know who I am, really. So it amazes me that you can make all of these assumptions about me, having only met me a handful of fucking times. Isn't that just peachy? This also, I might add, you now work for Faithless Hijabi. So you have a vested interest in making FOF look good and making Faithless Hijabi look good, as well as yourself, which, in my personal opinion, you're doing a terrible fucking job of it right now, because you are literally assessing a mentally ill person's mental health without actually knowing anything at all about them. You haven't interviewed them in a clinical setting. You haven't given them any clinical questionnaires. You don't know what their mental illness is. You don't know their comorbidities that affect their mental illness. You don't know anything. You don't know anything about me. Like, whatever surface level bullshit you've just said are like just character assassinations. Like, they're just character assassinations. They're surface level readings of stuff that people say about mentally ill people all of the fucking time, grounded in nothing.
And letting out everything onto this one person, which, as I said, is a really common thing for people that have that type of upbringing.
Yeah, keep fucking telling yourself that. FOF was a terrible boss, okay? And a terrible fucking friend. I don't need to justify what I experienced at the hands of a person when you were not fucking there, Mimsy. So maybe shut the fuck up and don't ruin your career online. FOF literally wanted to meet me like, I don't know, February or March of 2019 or something like that. Like, freshly disowned. I'm a freshly disowned person, right? Coming from like an extremely restrictive background. And what's the first thing she fucking does to interview me for her fucking charity? She gets me drunk. She gets me drunk. Like, at that time, maybe I'm not a vulnerable person now in your eyes, because apparently I'm not fully vulnerable, only somewhat. But like at the time when I had just been fucking disowned, I won't stop fucking saying that, I was definitely a vulnerable person. And the first thing that this person does on meeting me is get me drunk and tell me that being drunk will reveal my true self to her, for her to decide whether or not I can work at her charity. And throughout my volunteering at her charity, by the way, did she do a fucking thing? Not that I can recall. Every time we made videos, it was me making the videos. It was me lugging around gear. It was me editing the website. It was me managing the social media accounts, because guess the fuck what? FOF was always getting fucking suspended. It really, really, really amazes me that you know so much about me without ever fucking being there.
It was all kind of very secretive.
It was already public. It was already public. You already made it public. What don't you understand about like already saying something has happened? It's already public. Like, you can't be like, oh, we tried to keep it close to the chest after it's fucking it's public.
I got through how traumatic it was. If anyone doesn't get that, then I can't help you. Anyway, the point is, we were like, listen, just go out.
You can't help okay. You demonstrably cannot help anyone. You are not the person anyone needs. I'm sorry. This behavior from a fucking therapist is a red flag. Okay? There was like a time in my YouTube channel's history where I denounced Faithless Hijabi because I just wanted to denounce everything I did there, and I just don't want it to be a part of my history anymore. Unfortunately, it is. I'm telling you now, go to them at your own fucking risk. Look at how this mental health professional talks about someone's mental health.
That was screenshotted, and the picture, I think, of her actually at the restaurant. Now, then it got out. That picture got out because that person, as I said, the person I'm not mentioning, decided, oh, I'm going to use this.
Okay. I was not the only person who got that screenshot, believe it or not. Yasmin Mohammed did not only send that screenshot to me, okay? I love that the blame for leaking the screenshot somehow falls on me when I did not leak it. I did not leak it. I can say that with full chest. I'll look at my eyes. I did not leak it. But somehow the blame falls on me, regardless of the fact that by the time Yasmin Mohammed has sent that screenshot to anyone outside of the in-group, it has leaked. And the fact that someone in your in-group had these fucking doubts, as well as people who had more information, like Apostate Prophet, like Infidel Noodle, like all these other people that had a problem with it and then quickly fucking hid behind my petticoats, a fucking kid in this fucking bullshit ass representation of a community. Like, this is the dumbest move you could have possibly fucking made, and I don't understand how you're so unself-aware that you're not you just don't know it.
As ammunition to be like, she's not even in trouble. Look how absolutely fine she is.
Okay, I did not fucking say that. I just said that this isn't a blasphemy case, and I don't know why we're representing it as a blasphemy case, which is where all the arguments of, oh, you should have read the press releases came from. I'm sorry. If someone tells me that, like, within your in-group that what's going on is not as serious, and then I have ex-Muslim friends who are worried about someone who is not in as serious trouble as they believe them to be, I'm going to tell my friends, hey, Yasmin Mohammed, who is in the in-group, said that actually it's not that serious, period. Like, I don't fucking get it. Like, I don't get it. Why is that my fault? Oh yeah, because we're all so fucking self-centered and worry about you guys that's what I want to do, please.
That the person that paid them is like, hello, I've paid you for a reason.
Yeah, I love this being like fucking framed as like some sort of Tanzanian cartel.
She's out on bail, but her life is threatened. We don't know what these crazy... I mean, they could have done anything. If she was just walking out in the street in front of them, they could have done anything, right?
Oh, this is what I was going to say. She was walking out on the street every day to and from the fucking police station. Like, this is such a indictment on what you're fucking saying. Because, like, on the one hand, oh, she wasn't incarcerated for long, but we, like, delayed the information she was released on bail because she was in danger. But at the same time, she's always going outside. She's constantly, every day going outside, doing, like, whatever. But at the same time, she shouldn't go outside because she's in so much fucking danger. Like, can you make up your mind? Can you make up your mind? I would like for you to keep your story straight if you're going to lie in like one sentence. Like within a sentence, you should perhaps keep your story straight. Just like top tip.
At the most like volatile time.
Yeah. If you fill your movement with a bunch of lies, you can't be upset when someone asks you why you're fucking lying. If this is like an honest case. Like, let's suspend our disbelief for a second and pretend like everything that she's saying is completely true and I'm completely in the wrong for ever pointing anything out ever, right? Why are you seeding doubt in something so important by like calling it blasphemy? Because you did call it blasphemy. The whole fucking movement did. Like, all of the figureheads in the movement called it blasphemy from day dot. And it wasn't until we fucking said something that anyone made any fucking noise about it. Like, you couldn't do like a 2-second Google search and be like, oh, wait, you know what? Tanzania doesn't have a blasphemy law, so maybe us calling it blasphemy would be slightly misleading. Maybe we could call it, incarceration, unlawfully detained, can't leave Tanzania, fucking anything else, fucking thing else. But no, we're gonna call it blasphemy, which makes literally no sense.
Apostle Prophet made a video. He then, supporting Zara and being like, guys, this is what's happening with Zara, cool. He then took that video down because of this person that was spreading toxicity.
Do you believe that? Ridvan is how old? Like, he's in his 40s or something? Do you believe that someone who was new in the ex-Muslim community, someone who is a young person in the ex-Muslim community, could have manipulated ex-Muslim media giants like Yasmin Mohammed and Ridvan, like two of the most prominent ex-Muslims in the fucking community who had inside knowledge about this case? You think okay, you can't claim to be educated and like knowledgeable and like free people from fucking religion if you're going to act this fucking dumb. You can't have it both ways. I'm sorry. It's the layers of fucking bullshit. Like, I'm surprised anybody believes this story.
At that time, we were trying to be like really quiet because I was speaking to like embassy.
Again, there were interviews that were done. There were appearances that were made. There were articles that were written. I hate to fucking break it to you, you 30-something-year-old adult woman with children, you are not being quiet. Like, if all the information is on social media, it's on social media, like, it's public. Like, you've already talked about it. You are making noise about it. Like, the fact that you think that somehow some people having doubts was enough to suddenly, like, you guys just stop receiving any attention at all, like, that's fucking stupid. I don't know what this point is, like, where she keeps saying, oh, we were doing this and this to, like, make noise about something, but then again, we were trying to be very, very quiet about something. You can't build your whole brand around, like, criticizing something and then, like, not be able to handle any modicum of any amount of fucking criticism, especially when you are doing the wrong fucking thing. No?
The reason I am bringing this all up now is because I was sent a clip of Apostate Prophet. He said he called it high school, like as if it was the drama like high school.
Yeah. I wonder why he thinks of it like that. I wonder why, after being so apologetic about something he said about the things he knew about, why he still views it as if it's high school drama. Yeah, I really, You'd think if he, actually felt that way, he wouldn't talk about it like that. And also, I suspect this video is probably being made because Apostate Aladdin made a video about Apostate Prophet being a fucking Zionist, and the ex-Muslim figureheads, most of them, also being disgusting fucking Zionists. That's what this is. To pretend like you still have a cause when your cause obviously does not care about human rights. I am sorry to individual ex-Muslims that continue to use the label. I don't care if you continue to use it. If you do use it and you try to, like, do good, I applaud you, because I could not fucking do that. The fact that so many of you with a platform, with a voice, with a public-facing personality, could be so callous as to call yourselves fucking humanitarians and fucking human rights activists when you focus on milquetoast bullshit like this while also spitting in the face of an actual fucking genocide? Please don't try to convince me that you care about anything but your own weird self-hatred and self-obsession, because that's all this is.
He backed that person. The person that was being like, Zara didn't buy me a present on my birthday, and she's actually a really horrible person, and she's actually this, and she's actually...
Okay. I've never talked to Apostate Prophet about any of that stuff. I mean, I did make a pretty petty video about FOF, like, back in the day. I think like 3 or 4 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago now, I can't remember. But I made a video about her, not naming her, and like how I felt like she wasn't my friend. Even though she liked to call me her family and say that she was my friend, she really didn't treat me like a friend. She kind of just treated me like a pet and did not respect any of my work or anything. For the record, what I did explain to Apostate Prophet is my concerns about the transparency. That's about as much as I talked to him about. It was awful. Like, to put it succinctly, it was just fucking awful. Like, I'll talk about the professional stuff more, because the friendship stuff, I will admit, like, all of that stuff was kind of petty. I can admit that, okay? Like, I'm 29 now, I kind of understand looking back that it's a bit petty. But in terms of professionalism, like, I volunteered for Faithless Hijabi, right? I was given no allotted hours, no deadlines, no clear role structure, no safeguards. And when I say safeguards, I think like a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. To give you my personal background for what I have done professionally, I used to work with young people. And many of these young people that I worked with were going through this process of de-radicalizing. So I have a very acute awareness. Even at that time, I had like 4 or 5 years experience. At the moment, I have 8 years of experience. But like at that time, I was very concerned about the lack of safeguards. And let me go through some examples of safeguards. There's multiple ones that you can keep, but I'll go through some examples. A criminal record check. Like, one of the most basic things that you could expect from working with mentally ill people, with young people, with vulnerable people, is having a criminal record check. And some of you might go, oh, well, it was a charity, like maybe the funds weren't there. You can get a voluntary criminal record check. They're called DBSs here in the UK, which is where we were operating at the time. Other safeguards could be safeguarding training, which is often offered for free. And you should do safeguarding training for all types of people, like children, like vulnerable people, like mentally ill people, like older people, and like disabled people. Basic safeguards were ignored in a very, very tough job. I was constantly reading posts of women in very, very, very awful situations. And I have talked about in previous videos how people were not well cared for and people were ignored for really fucking stupid reasons. So again, I must say, please do not take any sort of help from this organization. If anything, it will set you back several years. As it did for me.
For Zara to go through that, to experience that, FYI, Zara is someone who is always there. Like, if anyone knows her.
Okay, that's your experience, babe. Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's your fucking experience, babe, not mine. So I don't know where you get off saying this as if it means something. It doesn't. It fucking doesn't. And also, maybe calm down with the dick sucking. Maybe relax with that. Like, we know you work for our company. We know you have a vested interest in making her look good. So relax.
Just the other day, I was speaking to Infidel Noodle and being like, this was just high school drama. Oh, these ex-Muslims. Oh, ex-Muslim civil war. Like, when actually the drama was fueled by you because you're the person, you didn't start it, but you're the biggest person here, right? In terms of like followers.
See what I was saying before about Apostate Aladdin making that video about Apostate Prophet? This is damage control. This is distancing oneself from Apostate Prophet. It's so fucking transparent. It's so transparent, even though they're still Zionists. Like, they're still Zionists, but they don't want to catch any heat from that. So this is what happens when you don't state plainly what you're doing. Everything you do just looks suspect. Like, you're behaving in a suspect manner. Like, we're not supposed to suspect you. You're behaving in a way that's like doubtful and dishonorable and deceitful. I don't understand how you think we're meant to react as like the viewer.
Okay, let me see what people are saying.
What they're saying is free Palestine. That's what they're saying. But she's not going to bring that up.
We eventually basically managed to get her out after a lot of drama. I mean,
what did she just call it? What did she just call it? That she's been so upset about someone else calling it? What did she just call it? Was that a Freudian slip? Mimsy? Is this a good look? Is this a good look for you? Is this a good look for you?
You guys don't even need to understand the details after that.
Well, we don't, because you didn't share any. Okay. So someone in the live stream feed, right, points out that what Mimsy is engaging in is a character assassination. Now, what she says next is quite personally disrespectful, but I understand that she doesn't necessarily need to respect me because she's sticking up for her bestie here. So I get it, but at the same time, Mimsy, with the next section about to play, I would like you to really think about the question, is this a good look for you?
I can't see a reason why you'd want to get involved and stir the pot and call people. And I mean, we know from her ex-friends as well, so I won't go into that because that's private information, but we know from people that she's spoken to that she called them and spoke to them for hours and spread a lot of information and shared a lot of information to try as hard as she could to basically be like, she's not in danger, right? So I was trying to be like, especially because I come from a mental health background.
You come from a mental health background. You know what we call that in the mental health business? You know what we call what you just said? We call it an appeal to authority, and I'm going to display exactly how pointless what you just said is. I'm going to show you the most expensive piece of paper that I own. I am also from a psychology background, and I'm going to bet that you did not get a first. I'm willing to bet money on that. You don't know shit about me. You don't know shit about me and this relationship. You don't know shit about what I have said to people because I have not said them to you. Everything you know is from an outside source, and everything you have said has been an assumption that you have made about me without talking to me, without assessing me, without like knowing anything. But you're going to credit your psychology knowledge for the reason why you know something. And this may come as a shock to you, Mimsy, but the reason why I didn't feel the need to protect Fof is because Fof is a previous abuser of mine. I literally reported her for harassment because she has harassed me before in the UK for several weeks. Even after I had pointed out to her that she had been reported for harassment and that she was continuing to harass me, she has continued to harass me. And like everyone knew, everyone that I could tell within the community knew that she was doing this, did nothing about it, and now are upset that I'm saying something about it. What does that sound like to the rest of you? If you're going to blame anyone for putting Fof in danger, blame the people who were in the know who denounced her, not the person who she abused. It's not my responsibility to get her out of trouble. I'm sorry. You might sit here and virtue signal about how you care about people, but we know that you're a Zionist. So like, don't lie. You can sit here and pretend that you care about people, but the truth of the matter is, what you care about is extremely myopic. Your understanding of psychology is extremely myopic, and your understanding of anything societal is extremely myopic.
From my perspective of being friends, mainly with Zara, but also a little bit with that person.
Don't fucking lie, especially when the other person can fucking hear you and tell you that you don't know shit.
The police who eventually got imprisoned for what they did were trying so hard to cover themselves. They used what that person was giving them as like ammunition.
Okay, this is a blatant fucking lie. I've not spoken to any police officers and I genuinely don't know what the fuck this is about. Like, this is just a blatant fucking lie. I did not speak to any fucking police officers during this time. Like, my presence in the ex-Muslim community was already going down because of the opinions that I held that, in my opinion, weren't that fucking deep. And my presence was already going down, so me saying anything wasn't really going to do much at all. Like, the fact that I had a doubt somehow ruined your case. A 24-year-old person that worked in your organization had a doubt, and it ruined your case. Okay.
In the end, there was no charges, no court order. You know, we got lawyers involved. The noise really did eventually kind of help, even though it was...
So my supposed and alleged involvement in all of this had no effect. And yet we're still fucking talking about it. One more time, for just so you understand. You made the story doubtful such that people in the know, as you have outlined in your story, doubted it. Like, that's how doubtful it was. And maybe everything you're saying that happened is true, but it's not our fault that your story was doubtful. We'll keep it on this frame, because why not? It's your fault filming in a fucking 16:4 aspect ratio, I won't stop mentioning it. Let's go over the points of doubt about the case that I have been referencing through this video. So, they're two simple points. Let's just break them down into that. And then we'll close out the video, because this is a draining experience for me. I have been largely minding my business, living my life, doing community work, and being, you know, an upstanding citizen of the country that I live in. Can't say the same for some people. Point A about the case, about Fof's case of being arrested in Tanzania. A, you did call it blasphemy. All of you called it blasphemy. And there are receipts to show that you called it blasphemy, not just in tweets, but in article headers, in petitions, in all manner of things, really. In videos even, like videos that were released by Atheist Republic, who insists they have never used the word or called it blasphemy. You all use the word blasphemy. That's the first thing. Second point, and this is mainly a point that I wouldn't have brought up if it wasn't raised. Armin Navabi made a video screaming and shouting about how if we, the audience, were stupid enough to think that this was about blasphemy when they had never said it, according to them, we should check the press releases that were released by the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain, which, fun fact, was a charity that I also volunteered for. And yeah, they have released these press statements, but you want to know something interesting about the press releases that were made for this case? They were heavily edited. They were heavily edited without disclosure, sometimes within a few hours. So It's pretty safe to say, based on these 2 points alone, that the journalistic integrity of this movement is not very high. You call it blasphemy and then say you didn't call it blasphemy and that we're idiots for thinking that it's about blasphemy when you have only advertised it as blasphemy. And then you have directed us to press releases that we should and only read to get our information according to you, but then heavily edit them. And you can view these editings, by the way, in the Wayback Machine. Like, they heavily edit them, sometimes within a few hours, sometimes within days, and like not disclose at all, like at the top or the bottom of the article, that it's been edited or information has, you know, they didn't highlight any information that was new, they didn't do anything, they didn't fucking do anything. So the fact that you're so disturbed by the fact that such a doubtful fucking story people had doubt in is amazing to me. Like, genuinely amazing. Finally, I don't need to protect people who've been bad to me. Like, I just don't. And I'm not going to pretend to want to or virtue signal that I would. It's a silly expectation for anyone to have of me, and it's a silly expectation for you to have of me, since you apparently know me so well. Also, I would like to expand on the harassment thing that I experienced at the hands of FOF. Yeah, harassment, at least in the UK, constitutes continued contact after you have been told not to make contact directly or by proxy. I would like to outline that you have been still contacting me by proxy. Not through this video. This video is fine, obviously free speech and all, y'all love it, but can't handle it. But through your dumb little fucking faithless hijabi minions, through your family members like your brother who contacted me. So for me, who 3 years in is still like experiencing harassment from you, for anyone to expect that I would need to protect you is frankly quite fucking sad. Maybe if you are in serious danger, don't lie about it, don't play fucking games, and don't try to mislead your audience, okay? Alright, that ends the video for today. I'll say this now because my channel manager makes me, and I refuse to say it at the beginning of the video. If you liked the video, like, share, and subscribe, and if you have something to say, leave it in the comments. Just know that if I don't find it to my liking, it will be removed, and I will hear nothing about it. This is my home, this is my life, and this is my channel, and I will manage it however the fuck I want. I would also like to say that I'm not really sure when I'm going to upload regularly again. I have something of a content schedule planned, but I have decided not really to talk about it because I like to make videos whenever I like and when I have something to say. And lastly, if you'd please leave some roses for my brilliant channel manager, I would much appreciate it, because if you don't, he might just decide not to sync my audio in the next video. Okay, bye.
But I'm going to come to these ex-Muslims, yeah? I'm going to come to them. My ghetto side is coming out.